This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming with another edition of movie reviews and observation number 20. Wow, we've gotten to 20 weeks of me watching movies, and it's a recap. Public Library Skokie closes all of a sudden, has a few things from there, was caught off guard. Took out movies from Des Plaines Public Library, not enough for 1 month. Used the free streaming sites Hoopla, Canopy, and somebody's Netflix, ran out of movies. Used a site called Gujara. It pretty much had everything I needed. Sometimes movies wouldn't load. I had to use other sites. But for the most part, Gujar. Then the public library in Skokie opened back up, and I started getting movies. Not all my movies, but some of them. So this week, I was able to watch a lot of movies on DVD. The first movie I watched was Semper Fi. It's been back-to-back weeks that I watched a movie with like Nat Wolff, and he's a really good actor from being a children's actor and a musician, and that's why I watched it. It was a typical, let's break somebody out of prison, but then they throw in characters are firefighters, cops, then they go to overseas military-based sort of thing. Nat Wolff goes to prison, yada, yada, yada. Jay Country, and Bo Knapp. I've seen him in movies before, and Leyden Mason from, I guess she was in Gossip Girl, and she's also was in Single Parents and Making History. She's like the woman in the movie and stuff, so it's very interesting. It wasn't the best plot. It wasn't written that well because there's some holes and you're trying to figure things out. But basically, yeah, they try to break Nat Wolff out of prison because he goes to prison because he has 2 strikes because it was unfair. He's defending himself. But yeah, it's confusing because some of the characters are cops, some are firefighters. They go to military base every weekend, then they get deployed overseas. And Jay Country's Courtney, he's in charge of his unit. Blah, 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 blah. So it was an interesting movie. Jake Courtney and Nat Wolff did a very good job of selling the movie despite the script lacking and there being holes in the plot and not the best character explanations. But yeah, it was overall a good enough movie to watch, and the fact that when it comes out to 90-something minutes, it's a worthwhile movie to try to watch, Trying to break somebody out of prison, there's military, there's cops or firefighters. Then the next movie I watched was actually really good. It took a really dark, creepy turn midway through the movie towards the end of the movie. But it was really good because Jesse Eisenberg really sold it. Igmund Poots was in it. It was pretty good. He basically works a boring job, does boring stuff. Then he gets mugged and his life changes forever. And he's trying to figure out how to protect himself. And he started taking classes of self-defense, like karate and stuff. So he goes to a dojo. It's kind of weird, some of the people in there. There's a night class. The instructor really likes him. So it's a pretty good movie because it's good character growth. By the character, things change, but then things get really out of hand, and, it was pretty interesting. That's all I'm going to say. That it was a pretty interesting movie, well acted, even though it took a creepy, dark turn toward the middle of the end. It evened itself up at the end of the movie to make it worthwhile to watch, and the fact that it's only an hour and 40-something minutes isn't that long either. It's a pretty good movie, and if you're a big fan of Jesse Eisenberg playing odd, weird roles, he's playing a really socially awkward person, so yeah, it was pretty good. The next movie I watched was called Crypto, and by accident, I saw 2 movies in the same week with Bo Knapp. Just saw him in Semper Fi. He plays like a Wall Street person who gets transferred to the middle of nowhere in New York, let's say Albany or Buffalo, whatever it is, and that's where his family is, and he left years ago. Luke Hemsworth, one of the Hemsworth brothers, plays his brother. Kurt Russell plays his father. They're on a farm. They're estranged. His mother's passed away. He meets a hot woman, as he calls her, from an art gallery that he looked into because of fraud at this company. Because his job is to look into fraud at companies with the finances and stuff. And it happens to be, people that live there. That place was, a bank or some accounting place that screwed over his parents' farm, whatnot. And the woman's like undercover, yada, yada, yada. It was a very loosely movie put together about cryptocurrency, people using, Bitcoin and other stuff to try to legally do fun. There was an actor who I saw in God Friend of Me for a couple story arcs, and he was a main character in Legion. It was nice to see him. But again, playing the really smart tech type of person who owns a liquor store. So like the Semper Fi, it was very loosely put together, the script, not great character development. But Bo Knapp and Kurt Russell and Luke Hemsworth, Alexis Bledel and the guy from Legion, they did a really good job in the movie. Had to do with like Russians, Canadians, like all over the place. And it was a lot of talking, a lot of drama. So an hour and 46 minutes, a little bit too long for a movie that's all over the place. But also, it's not a bad movie. It's watchable, but there's like holes through it. Then the next movie I watched was To Dust with Matthew Broderick, okay? And this guy named Giza Gorig. So as a Jewish person and raised Orthodox, it's interesting how extreme the laws are of when somebody dies, how they're buried, how you take care of them, what are the practices of mourning, what you do, all these things. But they put it into the extreme point of a Lubavitch, Blackadder, somebody super religious Orthodox, not just regular modern Orthodox. And, his job is he's a cantor, so he, leads the prayer at synagogue. He's a typical boy who go to Jewish school, and he had a wife who just stayed-home wife. She tragically passed the cancer. And he's, like a lot of people, they can't really move on when they lose a loved one, especially someone you're married to for a long time. You built a life together. And he's struggling to move on, and he's, only really knows how, death is viewed in Judaism. What he doesn't really know is death viewed in the other way, the scientific way, how non-Jewish people, do it, how they bury them, what happened. So, he tries getting his answers at all different places, and he eventually goes to a college and bumps into a professor of science. He's a scientist, he's not an actual scientist. Matthew Broderick thinks is weird, but he's socially awkward too in the movie. Two of them form a friendship, or they do scientific experiments that are, maybe against Judaism, and him as a science teacher shouldn't be really doing it. But they go on these misadventures together. They travel to a place together. Different rabbis are telling him he's got to move on. His mother tells him to move on. His kids are worried about him. So it was a very good movie. It was very well interesting put together, even though it was a little bit dark, a little bit creepy and weird, some of the movie. But Matthew Broderick, throughout the movie, he goes, I don't know what you're saying. And he's speaking just Yiddish, Yiddish words that are in regular English language and some Hebrew words that have been in English language. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you mean. And it's weird because he's Jewish. He should know this stuff. But he did a good job as a character to act clueless. He's a far away from playing the young boy in Ferris Bueller. He looks, but it's still him, his humor. So I would definitely watch it. It was a very interesting movie, especially if you're Jewish. You may not want to watch it because of the stuff he's doing, but, interesting. Next movie I watched was a Sam Elliott movie, and this longtime actor, really good actor no matter what age he is. This movie's called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot. Supposedly he killed Hitler. He's good at tracking. He did everything he was supposed to get in the right room, the right time with him. But the movie is more of a drama, more introspectical of his life, what he's currently doing, limelight, having a family, all these things. He just want to be left alone. And occasionally they'll show flashbacks to when he was young and being trained and taking down, Hitler. Then it shows current times with Ron Livingston being the FBI agent. And then what I don't really understand is they have a French-Canadian person talking to him who's, a scientist or working for the Canadian government because they need his help. And I'm just sitting there I'm a little bit confused how I watch these movies where these people pretend they're French. But this, Middle Eastern actor, Rizwan Manji, is playing a French-Canadian. And I'm just I don't really buy it. So, A, I don't buy it, even though he's actually a Canadian-born. And also the fact that, that it's too much drama, too much interspectacle. There's not enough action in the movie of him actually doing it. There's a little bit more action, less, talky, introspective. Then they introduce he has a brother he doesn't really talk to. He looks like there's a huge age gap, Then they throw in the fact that he's the only man who could do this, even though he's old. And there's a pandemic virus, which is what is happening right now when they made this movie last year. And he's got to kill Bigfoot, because that's, folklore. Oh, is he real? Oh, did somebody kill Hitler? Whatever it is that he's got to kill him because he's spreading this disease, killing all the life species in Canada and stuff. And if they don't, he's got to get to the United States. Things like that. A little bit too far-fetched, a little bit too much drama-ish. But overall, Sam Elliott and the guy who plays the young Sam Elliott do a very good job of really selling the character himself and the movie itself. Because if it weren't for Sam Elliott and the guy who plays him, the younger version of him, it would just be a crappy, weird horror film in a way. You got to stop Bigfoot, blah, blah, blah. Because he's always I really didn't kill Hitler. I killed the man. I didn't even really kill the regime. And it's you did a good thing, but whatever. Then the next movie I watched, because now my laptop, my hand-me-down laptop, is oh no, I won't play disc anymore. Even though I barely used to play disc, I usually do regular DVD player or streaming. I decided to watch this kids movie, Lego DC Batman Family Matters, where it's nice. It's got Nightwing, it's got Batgirl, they include Batwoman in it, Alfred's in it. They have villains like Penguin and Riddler and Two-Face and Killer Croc. So it was like, wow. So they got Solomon Grundy in the beginning. You know, Commissioner Gordon's in there. They have a little kid playing Billy Batson. It was pretty cool. And the thing is, they have Damian Wayne's son in the movie. So there's that. No mention of Tim Drake except for his outfit. Like, no Red Robin in this movie whatsoever. Scarecrow's in the movie. So there's a lot of good actors and a lot of good voice actors. Like Scott Benville has played Robin in Teen Titans. And Troy Baker's a good voice actor. So is Tara Strong. So it was a pretty good cast. And basically, we all know that the Red Hood, which is Jason Todd Robin, he passes away, gets brought back to life. He never really got eye to eye with Batman. Batman's really safe when it comes to his son and Tim Drake compared to how he was with Nightwing. But yeah, Red Hood is trying to plot against him and uses all these villains, uses the Two-Face to help him. And then, of course, he realizes that Batman wasn't mean to him and he's got to turn himself around and help stop the day. So overall, good message. Pretty much the only thing I didn't like is there was no Tim Drake. You got everybody else, including Batwoman, fine. But yes, overall, good kids movie. Continue the following of the footsteps of all the Lego DC character movies that I've seen. Age appropriate, very good a job. So I'd say, yeah, definitely watch Lego Batman. It's interesting that outside of the movie To Dust and Our Self-Defense, that was probably the best movie I watched this week. And the last movie I watched was a Western movie called Badland, where Bruce Dern plays an old man in there, and he continues to do this. And it was basically, you know, Marshall. He's got to take down people who did, you know, crimes against humanity during the Civil War. And he's got to stop each one of them. And they divide it into chapters. And each one is a different type of expectations and, like, challenges you got to overcome to take down these people and whatnot. You know, Tony Todd is in the movie. He plays, like, this first, like, black senator. And he, you know, sends him on this mission and stuff. And there's correspondences. And the fact the movie was almost like 2 hours, there's a lot of talking and unneeded drama. It was not enough action going on, enough Western stuff going on. That it was just below average Western. And I'm tired of seeing Bruce Dern in movies. I just saw him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's now playing old curmudgeon and guys like, I don't need to see that. So don't really waste your time with Badlands unless you're like super obsessed with watching Westerns. Definitely watch the Lego Batman Family Matters movie because every Lego movie they make, a Lego's DC thing or Marvel, really good. Sam Elliott is the only reason to watch The Man Who Killed Hitler and then Bigfoot because he sells it. Crypto likes, you know, cryptocurrency in the Semper Fi movie. Like, the main characters, like Bo Knapp, Jay Courtney, and Nat Wolff, and, like, Kurt Russell. They, like, sell the poorly written movies put together, but the best movies I saw were To Dust. Really good script. Matthew Broderick was great. The guy who played this religious Jew was great. And Jesse Eisenberg in The Art of Self-Defense was a really good movie. Thank you for listening to another edition of On the Radar Entertainment Blog, episode number 20 of Movie Reviews and Operations. See you guys next time.